we've kind of lost some people, gained some people. We've picked up a Lopez sister. We got another Lopez sister, my wife, right behind the camera. Thank you very much, Adri, for doing the camera. And then I got Chad Mitchell with me. We've lost Misha right now, but we've lost Tao somewhere. We still got Seamus is here. Jack somewhere. They're all going to show up. Don't worry. We're going to pick up more. And we're going to, and Ollie's here as well, obviously. So we're in stop only number 3. We're at Brick and Barrel. And thanks to Ollie, I have the Steelsman Dark Horse, which is a brown ale, which you don't really get many brown ales in Vietnam at all. And I only know about this beer because we interviewed Wayne on Beer Stories with Misha back in the day. So I'm quite excited for the brown ale. And then what do you have?
Overmorrow Sunset from Hanoi. It's a farmhouse ale with grisette.
What is it? I mean, so I like my craft beer, but I've talked about this with Misha before. What did I say to him? I'm a craft beer fan, but not a craft beer snob. So I don't actually know what does a farmhouse ale mean?
It's an older style of ale from Belgium or France, Belgium, whatever region. It's just seasonal, like a saison, but the farmhouse is like using traditional local ingredients. So it's got peppercorn in this one, and it's just like farmhouse, but using Belgian yeast. Yeah.
It's 5%. It's a saison, not normally stronger than 5%. Mine's 5.5%.
Yeah. 5%. Nice and light, easy. And by the way, this is a French strain of yeast, by the way. And, close enough to Belgium, but yes.
It's a what?
French strain of yeast.
Again, a beer fan, not a beer snob. What the does a French strain of yeast mean?
The yeast originated in France.
There you go. The yeast originated in France. Well, cheers.
I'm a beer snob, but I'm also a beer fan. And I'm kind of leaning more towards the beer fan these days and just enjoying it again, Cheers.
That is delicious. This reminds me of Australia. This taste of Australia to me, because I think Cooper's have a brown ale.
Okay. Yeah, Cooper's does, I think, too. And lots of brown ales, like back in the late 90s and stuff. I think there's a lot of brown ales in the craft beer scene, especially in the beginning. Sorry, my voice is a little gone today because I've been talking so much lately. I know I talk a lot, but I've been talking especially a lot.
Don't worry, it sounds sexy. So the question I have for you, so we were in MixTape. We didn't get a chance to talk because you were at the other end of the table. MixTape, by the name, is obviously based on music. Yeah. Tell us a little bit. I mentioned it on when I did my review of my 7 favorite craft beer places. Talked about MixTape, and I think so. I'm like a really bad podcaster. I think even on the podcast, I was like, I really should review this stuff before, but I don't really have time or the energy to actually review stuff or research stuff before I do a podcast, and I just kind of talk off the top of my head, and sometimes I talk absolute nonsense, and it's normally Adri, my beautiful wife there, who then listens to it and goes, you were talking absolute rubbish. Yeah. Most people don't know I'm talking rubbish, but she knows I'm talking rubbish. She's like, that didn't happen that way. This didn't happen. We didn't do that. But nobody else knows that. But going back to my point, talking about MixTape, obviously very based on music, which I love. In terms of the titles and even the strength of the alcohol. So you have the new one, which is a hazy drink, and I think it's like 6.777. So tell us a little bit about where you get the names from, the style, the percentages of the beer. How does that all tie in?
Well, I grew up in Northern California in a town called Santa Rosa, where Russian River got started, which is like one of the world's most famous breweries now. And I was really a groupie. I hung out with a lot of friends' bands. I pretended I was in the scene, pretended to play a guitar and just looked the part. Total poser. But we always would go to like craft beer bars like Lagunitas as well, and they would always it was always very intertwined for me because I didn't really like beer at all, but we'd always go to craft breweries because they would support the local music scene. So the two things are very close to my heart, and I care more about music. I used to write for music events and stuff in San Francisco. And so it was like, okay, I love music, but I'm kind of a groupie. I now love craft beer, and I'm also kind of a groupie. I learned how to become a brewer. I'm a decent brewer, but still not my background's in tech actually for work. So anyways, put the two together. I was like, you know what? I love both these things so much, and this is my homage to it. And the best way I can share, back in the day, you shared your love of music by giving a mixtape to somebody. So that was the goal. This is my sharing my art, my love of both things. But yeah, so all the beers.
Jump into something I want to share with you though. They're talking about the MixTape. Mm-hmm. So there was a podcast about a year ago that did a limited release of their podcast only on a mixtape, and it kind of blew up. It went viral. It was like this really cool thing that they did only for a select group of fans. They only made 100 mixtapes. Yeah. The only way you could listen to that episode was, and I wouldn't even know how you would play a cassette these days.
Well, that's the weird thing about last about 6-7 years ago, I went home to the States, and everybody I knew was getting cassette decks put in their cars again. I'm like, why? Because they're on the music scene. Because all the bands now, like, you go to their show, and like, this album can only listen to on cassette, and they would release the only on cassette. It became a really trendy thing. It's actually still continuing to grow, very extremely, totally Northern California. Yeah. So, anyways, but with mixtape is like, also like the cassettes are getting popular. Everyone had asked me when I launched it here. They said, "Is anyone going to know what a mixtape is?" And I said, "Doesn't matter. Like, it's just a brand name. But also, if they do know, that'll be even cooler." Yeah. Oh, Misha's arrived.
Misha's back. Guess who's back?
Oh, don't sing Backstreet Boys to Misha, please.
So, here we are. I think we've already set the stage. This is stop 3 on the pub crawl. We're at Brick and Barrel, 171 Calumet Street. We're upstairs in the back room. By the time you hear this, Brick and Barrel might not exist anymore at this location. They're looking for a new one. Which makes me a little sad. Nostalgia is my second worst vice after alcoholism. And I've had a lot of good memories of this place. I'm going to miss it. I'm sad to see it go. But here we are. This is a proper craft beer bar. They do awesome burgers, pizzas, chicken wings, good craft beer selection. Not as many as they used to. They cut out some of the dead weight. No shade at any big beer company that's recently taken over distribution for a local craft beer company that used to be awesome. None whatsoever. So just roll call. We still have most of the same crew, depending on how much gets cut. We also have an extra Lopez sister, which we're all really excited about. And Seamus Goff from Seven Bridges is still here. And this has become a bit of a Seven Bridges stronghold here at Brick and Barrel. I have a roadie that I'm finishing up. And once I finish that, I'm going to get the High Van Hayes IPA from Seven Bridges. I think everyone in the industry who doesn't work at Seven Bridges, that's their favorite Seven Bridges beer. Nice, big, hoppy, hazy beer. You can't go wrong. Here we are. Ollie's back behind the bar where he belongs. Felt really weird to have him sitting at a table with us, trying to be a customer. It's not his normal state of being. We'll be back on soon.